We have divided our outlook into broadly three categories. On the private sector banks, we have a stable outlook, which we are reaffirming this year. For the public sector banks, we have a stable to negative outlook. I'll just detail some of the factors. Why is it so? And on the non-banking FIs, we again have a stable outlook. Coming to the large themes this year, I think asset quality will definitely be on the radar. While the overall impaired asset stock in the system might be close to peaking, but the issue is of recognition. We have been talking about the recognition issue since August in our report, the 1 trillion report which we came out with. And what the point we were making was that I think half the stress in the corporate system is not yet recognized or showing up in the bank's books. And we think that will be a driving force determining where the credit costs will head for the next year and how the profitability would look like. So although the headline numbers might still show a bit of improvement as far as the gross NPL ratios go or the impaired asset creation goes, but we think the credit cost will continue to inch up, and for many banks it will significantly erode their profitability. As we mentioned, we don't think we are still close to the peak in terms of the overall NPL ratios. Our overall assessment is that as of March 15, the impaired asset stock for the banking system was about 10.8%, and we expect this to go up to 12.5% by FY17. So clearly, we are still some distance away from the peak. But more importantly, I think we feel the impact on the profitability will be more severe. Now banks are being increasingly asked by RBI to proactively recognize the distressed assets. And our assessment is that it will add anywhere close to 20 to 25 bips to the credit costs for the banks in general. So clearly a lot of stress points this year. So capital is becoming increasingly critical for the public sector banks, particularly because last year we saw very sluggish activity in terms of the tier 1 bond market. So that entire quantum has also now come up I think our assessment is about INR 500 billion would be required in AT1 bonds in FY by March 17. So if you look at that quantum and you look at also add back the equity requirement, which our assessment is about 1.7 trillion by March 19, I think we are talking about a significant sum here. And FY17 in particular would be a watershed year in terms of how the tier 1 bond market develops. Because if this quantum isn't picked up by the market participants like the insurance companies or the pension funds, I think this entire burden will shift to equity. And if this amount gets added to the equity requirement, which is already significant, in addition to the impact which could come from the stressed assets, we are talking about a huge fiscal impact. So that all put together, I think capital would be the key question even in FY17.